Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul Super Rugby final prediction. Yes, after months of rugby, we are down to the last two. And we've ended up with the top two teams in the competition. The Lions are going to be hosting the Crusaders in Johannesburg. So, how do I see it all going? But first, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'm always up for good rugby chats. Please feel free to put comments down below. Both these teams only lost one game during the season, and that was an away game. So they both had perfect home records. So clearly that has got to play into the Lions' favour. Also, I think it's 2000 was the last time that a team won a final from overseas, and that was the Crusaders in Canberra. So let's be honest, that wasn't a long trip either. And it's been a very long time since anyone has done it. Yes, you can say it was the Crusaders, but that Crusaders team is totally different to this one now. I'm not sure there's anyone who is left still there. And other things about this that are in the Lions' favour, clearly it's that, so it is that travel. The Lions were in the final last year, so they've got experience of being at a final, whereas the Crusaders, it's been a while, and their coach has never taken them to a final. And why is that important? Well, I remember hearing Rob Baxter talk after Exeter won the Aviva Premiership final, and he said the previous year, so one of the things they changed was that the previous year they didn't realise it took so much longer to get into the ground and to get ready, which meant all their pre-match preparation was rushed and wasn't in. They didn't have time to do it properly. Now, I'm not saying that's why they lost to Saracens that year, but the following year they went to the ground earlier, so they made sure they had enough time to do all their pre-match stuff. Finals are different. Things will happen differently. You don't get, 50, 60,000 people in a ground for a normal Super Rugby game. There will be for this one. Now, a lot of these Crusaders play for the All Blacks. They're used to big crowds, so on the whole, it shouldn't be a big issue. But there will be some players who aren't used to that big game atmosphere as well. So, yes, there's a difference of actually being to finals and understanding what it's like when you're there. So they don't have that, which the Lions do have. They don't have the travel. It's also in Joburg. It's at altitude, which obviously is where the Lions live. And so, as we've seen with other teams, they do fade in the second half from fitness, potentially in that last quarter. Also, kicks go a lot longer as well. So judging those kicks and judging your kicking game can be very important. So all these factors play into the Lions' hands for this game. I'm going to just ignore all that talk about deserve and stuff. The Lions finished top. We all knew the rules. They deserved that home final. It is a bit disappointing, I will say, about the timing. It's later in the day than the semi-final, so that's going to be 2 a.m. in New Zealand time. So unfortunately, I won't be staying up to watch that. I will be having to record it and watch it in the morning. And also there'll be no post-match live response from us because 4 o'clock in the morning is just way too late for that kind of thing. So I'm sorry about that, folks. We're going to miss out on that. So, but what's my prediction? So my prediction is that the Lions will win this one, and I'm going for a gap of by 7. It's going to be a bit of an amazing fairy tale for whichever team wins it, to be honest. The Lions obviously got kicked out of Super Rugby when the Kings came in, and they fought their way back in, and they fought their way back up to the top, making the final last year, and again this year. It's a fantastic story. And there's a feeling, from my point of view, that this is their year. This is when they have to do it. If they don't do it this year, they're not going to do it next year. With Ackerman leaving and the disruption that's going to bring, you do feel they're not going to be quite as good next year as they were this year. Every other year you've seen them grow, and this year I thought they were better than last year. But I think next year we could see a bit of a tail off as they adjust. So you feel this has to be their year. On the Crusaders side, it's a bit different. A lot of those players are signed up through to the Rugby World Cup, so they're going to be around for the next couple of years. They've got a new coach. He's learning, and he's going to be around for the next few years. So you see the Crusaders are building. The Crusaders feels much more of a building up, and you can see them bigger next year, or definitely as good next year, and not tailing off. So there is a feeling that this do or die, from my point of view, for the Lions here, which isn't quite there for the Crusaders. That seems much more of whilst a lot of those players have been together for a long time, as I say, with the new coaching setup, is a bit of a newer atmosphere to it. One of the things that impressed me last weekend about the Lions was they switched up against the Chiefs and started playing a bit more of a pick and drive, because they could see, or someone in their team sort of saw that the Chiefs were fanning out. They weren't committing at the breakdown, which is something that the Crusaders do as well. And so about the half-hour mark, when they got that first try, or just before they got that first try, you saw the Lions actually change their game on the pitch. And that's really unusual. We talk a lot about games of two halves and coaches having an impact at half-time and pointing things out and changing things up. In this case, the players changed it up, which was really impressive. So I expect the Lions to play much more that style from earlier on, to try and suck in the defenders, because there's going to be no space out wide for them to play with the Crusaders' defence. Last weekend, we saw when the Crusaders against the Chiefs didn't let them score until very late, how effective that defence is. The Crusaders are going to be comfortable not having the ball. But they're going to have to be careful about the altitude, and some players carrying knocks who are having to recuperate this week. I believe Kieran Reid, for example, is on a 20-hour flight. It's hard to recover from knocks when you're not at home. So that might play a part in this as well. But expect that big defence from the Chiefs to be their main weapon, and their clinicalness. They will be clinical at scoring tries and their kicking. Elton Yankees may not get as many options this week. He's going to have to make those kicks. But the Crusaders will know, with Ryan Combrink on the pitch, that he can kick from a long way out. So they can't give up penalties. So we're going to see them trying to play a much cleaner game, because he will kick points from inside his own half. Kiwi sides on the whole, and a lot of sides, let's be honest, globally, are happy to give up penalties in their 22 if they think there's a try-scoring opportunity coming, because they'd much rather give away 3 than 5 or 7 points. They're not so happy at giving up penalties around the halfway mark and giving away 3 points from there, where there's no risk of 5s. So we may see a few less turnovers than we're used to from the Crusaders because of that, because of that kicking threat from further out, and them having to behave themselves a little bit more because of that, of giving up those kind of points. But overall, it's going to be another great game. Obviously, we've got players like Combrink in the back, and then Dag and Tamanavalu having good seasons and can attack from anywhere. We've got 2 fly halves who can both kick and attack as well. It's going to be a wonderful, or it has all the pieces to be a wonderful game. Hopefully, the weather is going to be nice and dry, as it has been the last couple of weekends in Joburg, and we'll have a good game. Just to recap, because of that, the away factor, the travel, the altitude, I'm backing the Lions by 7 in this one. Please do sign up for the DrivingMaul Newsletter. It comes out once a week on a Thursday. Link above on Twitter, down below on YouTube, and that way you won't miss out on any of my Periscopes, YouTube lives, or YouTube's my podcast, blog posts, and all this kind of stuff that is going on. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back tomorrow with my Curry Cup predictions, and tonight at 8 PM New Zealand time, it's the Rugby Chat live YouTube show, so get onto that as well.